Yashahime Episode 1 Review and Analysis. The CGI from the intro of Setsuna and Maruha running through the rain looked absolutely amazing. We've got the spider lilies in the background, those represent death. Can we just talk about the height difference between the Lord and Sokyu? Toa says, "That idiot? Why'd she have to bring that back with her?" referencing the history book. According to the script, it was Maruha who brought the book with her. They bring in a bike seat that was Kagume's. Toa seems surprised when Sokyu mentions the priestess who came through the Bone Eater's well from Tokyo, Kagume. I think she's shocked that they know so much. I would think that Sota and the rest of her adoptive family had told her about Kagume, unless there was an important reason for her to not know or to be told about Kagume, because I know so many people brought up that Toa seemed surprised. I think she's surprised because it sounds like where she lives, in Tokyo and the Higurashi shrine that has the well. He says that he's heard of the story from over a decade ago. The story of Nenokubi or Roothead. In the Hulu summary, it also says that Toa learns about the incident that took place decades ago. Yashahime is 20 years later. This is calculated from Toa living in the modern era being Reiwa period. The nostalgic music from InuYasha and the scenes showing from the last episode of the final act gave me chills. We are then shown the same parts from chapter 559. The intro is epic as hell, music and all. The intro shows us 3 pearls in total, just like how Maruha's profile translation mentioned the red pearl that seemed to represent InuYasha's main color, red, and that all 3 girls have pearls. While the other 2 we see in the intro, we had speculated are very similar to Sesshomaru and Rin's colors, being white and yellow. The rock that Maruha is on next to the waterfall reminds me of a certain InuYasha episode. This part may be showing them all time traveling through the tree tunnel. We are shown 3 characters from the corpse shop, Takechiyo and the other 2 in the back. One of them must be Jiobe. It shows them fighting Roothead. Toa's claws seem to come out when she's using this power. The intro is similar to the opening of InuYasha the Final Act, specifically this part. The ending of the opening is a callback from the previous series. We get the names of Sango's twins, Kinyu and Gyokuto. Those mean Gold Bird and Jewel Rabbit. They show Kagume that they dug up roots. Kagume says they are kudzu roots. Kagume shows them a kikyo root. She says kikyo is a very kind plant. It helps with coughs and fever. Kagume talks about the 7 autumnal flowers poem from the Manyoshu. They are named as autumn flowers in a verse from the Manyoshu anthology. Bush clover, miscanthus, kudzu, large pink, yellow-flowered valerian, boneset, and Chinese bellflower. There are 7 of them, like how there are 7 rainbow-colored pearls. Hisui starts to cry as they pass by the tree, which is where the owl is. Kagume says that Kinyu, Gyokuto, and Hisui all have unique names. Sango said it was Moroku's choice. Kagume says Moroku sure is very knowledgeable. Here we get to see the 4-eyed owl demon Yotsume that is similar to the carrion crow from the first InuYasha episode. Hisui seems to stop crying as soon as Yotsume flies away. Baby Hisui knows that owl is bad news. This dude's face is killing me. The ear twitch wasn't in the manga. It was a nice touch that they added. Another part that wasn't in the manga was where they were going to see where the tomb collapsed. It is mentioned, but they never show the scene. In the manga, it just shows that they immediately go to Kaede's hut after it shows Roothead killing people in Sesshomaru. Then in the manga, it would then show Kaede's hut. InuYasha notices it must be Kikyo's arrow. Moroku asks InuYasha if he knows anything about this, which InuYasha replies with, "Don't know." Moroku says that they will ask Kaede. The music when Roothead is coming out and attacking people, the whole atmosphere and creepiness that Roothead gives us, especially in its animated form in this episode, is amazing. Roothead is a demon that Kikyo sealed shortly before meeting InuYasha. Moroku asks why Kikyo used a sealing arrow. In the manga, Moroku doesn't ask this, and Kaede doesn't have this explanation as to why she specifically used a sealing arrow, but I really like how they expanded on it. Kaede says, "Who knows?" She thinks that Kikyo used a sealing arrow because she was tired of killing. I think it's because Kikyo may have knew ahead of time that Roothead could split off and take the power from the Tree of Ages, since she was the one that knew that the sacred tree was also a Tree of Ages, which she had explained to Kagume in the first InuYasha movie, Affections Touching Across Time. She may have been worried that Roothead could steal the Tree of Ages power, or she may have had no other choice than to use a sealing arrow on Roothead. She may have known she wouldn't have been able to defeat Roothead alone. It shows the others at Sango's house. Kagume makes these cute sounds, like when she's agreeing. Rin, girl who adores Sesshomaru. If you're confused by why Rin is wearing her orange robes, She wears them in the manga also. Moroku mentions that Roothead must be eradicated from all the 6 villages surrounding the sacred tree. 6 villages surrounding the sacred tree makes me think of the 7 rainbow-colored pearls. Roothead got 2 heads dangling from his mouth, almost like 2 testicles. Laugh out loud. Testicles. It's pretty big, Kagume.
I know. Leave it to me.
I like where this is going. I love the one-handed wind scar. We've seen it in the past, just not so much. He's holding Kagume with his other arm. I also like how Kohaku is calling Moroku his brother, since that's his brother-in-law, Moroku being married to Sango, much like how Kagume calls the Shimmeru big brother on the last episode of the final act. It was mentioned by Sota and also the drama CD, since Inyash and Kagume are married. This was also confirmed in Kagume's profile on the official Hanyo no Yashahime website, just to all those people who still think they aren't married. Moroku feels powerless because he doesn't have the wind tunnel. He doesn't say this in the manga, but I think it's very in character, and I was glad that they put this in. The line where Kagume says, "I bet you'd say yes if I were Kikyo. See, I knew it," wasn't in the manga, but it does follow the theme of how they think Kagume is upset about it. It's for protecting Kagume regardless. They do react in the same way to Kikyo's arrow being shot that was shot by Kaede in the manga. "I just shot the very same arrow sister had used to seal Roothead." The scene where Kagume drops down and trips while Roothead comes out, that was a moment I was waiting to see animated. It did not disappoint. The desperation in InuYasha's reaction. Kagume! Roothead is massive. The Meadows on Getsuha part wasn't in the manga, but I love that they added it in. It shows how many pieces of Roothead coming up from the ground and then finally being sucked up into the meadow. Kagume shoots the ground, purifying the remaining pieces of Roothead. The owl demon Yashahime was hanging by the tree as Roothead was growing into the Tree of Ages. He seems to know a lot. He may even be the reason why Roothead was able to get to the sacred tree. Yashahime may have brought the piece of Roothead to the sacred tree, or Roothead traveled to it. Sokyu tells Toa that the Bone Eater's well is sealed, so bones can no longer pass through it. So no one can pass through it either. The well is sentient, unless someone actually did put a seal on the well, or that Roothead may have shut it down. I also found it odd that there was an owl in the keywords when they were first announced. Now it's clear that Yashahime is that owl. Even some of what the keywords say seem to match up with his lines in the episode. He really does know a lot. Manoha recognizes Yashahime. Toa says he seems to know more, so they go after him. Yashahime is ending Uru's song Break. I have listened to this song so many times, there's never a moment where I don't bob my head to the beat or dance to it. I know there's people that want to complain about some parts of the animation, like the eyes or ears. No honey, that your finger do it that way. But I don't mind, and I'm sure that they could fix these minor issues like they do with other anime like Dragon Ball Super or Attack on Titan, as later releases can improve the animation. I'm just happy that we have the manga chapter since then finally animated, and on top of that, the continuation even further. I really enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to watching the rest.